I, in college, was Wendy's guy, okay? I kept taking on these crappy jobs and unrelated experiences because I thought, because I had a blue-collar background, that this showed that I had work ethic and character, but really I was just working harder and not smarter. It's easy for me to look back on 10 years ago as the dark ages. I had to physically send in mail to apply to college, and then I had to physically fly out of state in order to register in person for my fall semester classes. And all of the advice that I had about how to do college correctly came from family and cultural narratives and a very limited selection of books on productivity and education. Even at college, the nature of career services and academic advising 10 years ago was largely about resume building and making sure that you were doing everything you could to get straight A's. Only in recent years, in large part due to dropping enrollment rates as well as the kind of anti-higher education narrative that exists in alternate education spaces, like YouTube, have colleges really taken the time to try to make student-centered, optimized decisions on how to provide career and academic services based off of data. Finally, for the first time, we are allowing results to override tradition, which means that I am now in a very good position 10 years later as a career education professor to provide some of the best, most relevant, and up-to-date best practices on what students can do today in order to set themselves up for both academic and career success after college. So if I was a college student today, these are the 3 big things that I would personally do in order to set myself up for success both in school and for life after college. Now, the first big thing that I would do is start marketing myself effectively. If you've seen my video about how I've had 20 jobs, then you probably realize that I used to be awful at applying for jobs. I had a dogshit resume that I would just throw into the void of Indeed until finally some random abusive company would bother to interview me. And then I would get a crappy job at a crappy company, so then I would get burnt out and abused and I would apply somewhere else. And then I would just repeat the same vicious cycle for years in my early 20s until I had so many crappy jobs that I became a literal consultant for the US government on how to track job scams and abusive employment practices, which sounds really pathetic when I put it that way. But it's true. And this happened because I didn't have the self-confidence or the brass tacks understanding about self-marketing in order to present myself in a way that provided me with good, relevant, and effective opportunities. So the very first thing that I would do as an incoming freshman is make a resume that looks like this. These are my actual experiences from high school, and I had decently impressive experiences, from being in honors to running several clubs, all while having a literal manual labor job at the same time. But you see, marketing yourself is not about bragging, and it's not about coming across as humble either. Self-marketing is about communicating the lived reality of your experiences in a way that will resonate with somebody else, namely your target audience of hiring managers. So you want to be sure that you are prioritizing a combination of information that shows that you have the foundational skill set in order to do the job that you're being hired for, while also communicating things that set you apart from other candidates. All I did was try to set myself apart from other candidates, and I never communicated my education skills and experiences in a way that showed that I could do the job. And so when you're only setting yourself apart from other people and trying to be unique, you're really just coming across as an insufferable douchebag. I don't know a better way to sugarcoat that, but basically no one is going to want to hire you if you only focus on achievements. You need to provide that digestible context, because the truth of the matter is that when you are 18 years old, adults are not impressed by you, okay? In the same way that you are not impressed by that middle-aged person who only fixates on how they used to be popular or, on the football team or a cheerleader or smart in high school. You don't want to come across as a former gifted kid who is now an adult failure. And you do that by marketing yourself professionally. The next thing that I would do is start gaining relevant experiences. Don't get me wrong, I love where I'm at in life right now, but in order to get to this position, it was an intense, exhausting uphill battle for years. Because I didn't understand the concept of the Experience Snowball. Your dad probably calls this getting your foot in the door, but basically it just means that anytime that you get an experience, it becomes extremely easy to get a slightly better experience that directly relates to the one that you just had. So let's say that you're 18 years old and you get a front desk job as a receptionist at your engineering college, and through that job you get to know the professors. So then a professor brings you on to be an assistant part-time for one of his research projects. Then you, having worked on a research project, are able to conduct your own undergraduate research. Then you're able to take that and go to a conference and present, where you are then offered a very competitive internship in the industry. You do your internship, you come back, you have this research, you have that job experience, so then you become the president of the engineering council, and then you graduate with 15 competitive job offers because you've done all of this stuff. Then that slingshots you into a mid-level position, working on propulsion systems for satellites at NASA, until finally, the day comes when it's time for NASA to hire a new astronaut in Europe for the gig. And their two choices are you, with this mountain of relevant experiences behind you, or this other guy with an engineering degree that worked at Wendy's for 6 years. It's a no-brainer. And you got the job just because you decided to take a crappy yet relevant experience doing menial work for the engineering college. Whereas I, in college, was Wendy's guy, okay? I kept taking on these crappy jobs and unrelated experiences because I thought, because I had a blue-collar background, that this showed that I had work ethic and character. But really, I was just working harder and not smarter. So I kept losing out on opportunities to all of these people who strategically gained relevant experiences that related to their next goal. So that's advice number 2, gain relevant experiences. Now the next thing I want to talk about is pretty similar to that, but I want to treat it as its own piece of advice and talk about it separately. And that is going to recruiting events. I'm going to let you in on a little job market secret. Do you know why quote-unquote entry-level jobs are never truly entry-level? That's because anytime that a company is looking to hire a college student without any years of experience, they physically go to a college to recruit. They don't do that search online. And that's because businesses network with colleges in the same way that professionals network with each other. They spend time, money, and human capital in order to physically go to a college and recruit students like you. And they want a return on that investment. So one of the best things that you can do in order to get an internship or a relevant professional experience is to go to these recruiting events, career fairs, information sessions, open houses, professional development club events. Really, any time that a company is physically coming to campus to recruit students gives you an opportunity to meet opportunities where they are at, and that is going to be the most likely place where you are going to secure a professional opportunity. In fact, at my own college, 78% of all of our students that graduate with a job offer got that job offer from an on-campus recruiting event. That's basically 4 out of every 5 people graduating with an offer. So it really is the best kind of chance for you to get your foot in the door without any experience. You have no idea how many students every single April come into my office and they say, nobody is hiring and I can't get a job. And I have to be the person to break it to them. No, there were 400 engineering companies that came to campus in October and February in order to recruit students like you, but you didn't bother going to on-campus recruiting events, and now all of those jobs are filled and you are fucked. I don't want you to be that student. So if you're interested in more content on how to gamify both college and the job market, then definitely like and subscribe, because I'm gonna be doing everything that I can to share brass tacks tactics with all of you, and hopefully get you a new video every week, probably related to these topics. So thank you for taking the time to watch today, and I will see you next week.